Alright, hello Guild Wars 2 gamers, Muckluck here, and this is another episode of I Tried, this time focusing on the Condition Damage Alacrity Druid. Now, Ranger, the entire Ranger class, was one of the only classes in the game that did not have a damage-dealing alacrity-providing build. And the reason for that is, of its 4 elite specs, Druid is the only one that provided alacrity, and for a very long time, the alacrity was right here, and the damage was right here. They were in the same column, they conflicted, combined with how the alacrity was applied, it just wasn't really good. Now, they moved the alacrity node over here. So even if you're not a ranger main, I'm sure you can figure out what that means. That means you can now take alacrity and the damage node together, and an alacrity providing damage dealer is now an option for the ranger class. In this case, condition damage, alacrity providing druid. Now, there are, at the time of recording this video, there are not a lot of guides out on this. I did peruse the Snowcrow's Ranger channel of their Discord and got a lot of helpful information, so shout out to them. So some of this is just stuff I copied from them. I did not figure this out, but this is essentially the DPS, just pure condition damage druid, but we have swapped this trait out for this one, and we have made some changes to the gear for concentration. Now, what I did for the testing here was, let's just say Viper's everything, unless I say otherwise, Trapper on the armor, Relic of the Fractal, Axe Dagger, Dagger Torch. We've got Bursting and Geomancy on sigils there, Bursting and Doom on sigils there. Now, in the Snowcrow's guide, he had this as the only source of concentration on his equipment. This is Ritualist stats. I was not able to keep alacrity up with only that. So I changed these 3 slots to Ritualist, and it's still like cutting it close. So that's our concentration right there. And going back here, we are not getting concentration from anything here. There is concentration in the nature magic line right there. There's 240, but that's not something we can include on this build. So in this build, again, it's condition damage. We're using Jacaranda. The Jacaranda just has stupid synergy with Blood Moon. I mean, like, stupid good. When the Jacaranda roots something, I'm going to show this now. The F2, Jacaranda's Embrace, if you watch this, I'm going to have it fire that, and then I'm just tell it to back off. And look at the bleed stacks counting upward. Okay, so what happens is when the Jacaranda roots something, it does the little roots on the ground, and those roots apply the immobilize condition like every second for 5 seconds. And Blood Moon is whenever you immobilize someone, you apply bleeding to them. So the Jacaranda actually applies 4 or 5 bleeds when it is doing its immobilize. So because of that synergy, the Jacaranda is the best pet for this build by far, just in terms of damage. The other one is the Carrion Devourer, which has more Condi damage, and you just constantly swap between them and use their F2s. Now, for the Alac uptime, the alacrity is provided by hitting allies with Celestial Avatar skills. So this right here pulses 5 times. So this does 5 applications of alacrity. This pulses 5 times. So this does 5 applications of alacrity. And the other 3 skills provide 1 application of alacrity. Okay? So when we go into Astral Form, the 2 is instant. So you can hit 2 and 5 at the same time. And then you can do like 3, 4, and then 2 again as you're leaving. So that's it. So 2, and then do 3, 4, 5 in any order, and then 2 again. The 4 skill in Astral Form applies a little bit of might, but it's kind of like you're helping your team with, like, you know, it's going to be around 5 stacks of might from that, but those 5 stacks of might are not even 100% uptime, so it's not really worth thinking about. It helps a little bit. It'd be more noticeable if you're on your own, like if you're using this in open world, but that's about it. Let's talk about the talents real quick. We've got chance on critical hit to do a bleed. We've got 20% more bleed duration, right? Or sorry, more bleed damage right here. Light on your feet is the trait that drastically increases the damage of the condition damage short bow, but it also has a thing where when you dodge or do an evasion skill, you get a buff called Light on Your Feet that increases condition damage duration by 10%. So it's a 10% damage buff, which is a couple thousand DPS. Down here, we got Wilderness Survival. Arachnophobia is a big buff to Devourer damage, our second pet. It also gives you a bit more expertise, so Condi damage. Ambidexterity is a buff to Condi damage and more Condi damage if you have a dagger in your hand, which both weapon sets do. Poison Master is a 25% increase to poison damage. So you can see that if you're doing a Condi build, both of these are non-negotiable. Blood Moon, Alacrity trait, and each of your astral skills does a condition, okay? So in astral form, the 2 is instant, but it also does poison application on enemies. The 3 is a immobilize and heal, and since it's an immobilize, it also will proc the bleed. 4 is pulsing chill. There's no damage on the 4, but it's just a half a second cast time, and then it pulses on its own for 5 seconds. This was changed in the last patch where it used to be channeled, so now you can just, for example, you could do like, 4 or 5, and now both are going. So, again, each of those does 5 pulses, so that's 5 applications of Alacrity. So, again, 2, 3, 4, and 5 in any order, and then 2 again. For the abilities that you're firing, the short TLDR version of it is you are wanting to keep all of these on cooldown, and all of these on cooldown, and all of these on cooldown. And every time Astral comes up, you want to go into it and hit, like, 2 and something else at the same time, and then, like, 3, 4, and then 2 again, and then leave. So that is basically how you play it. I will try to demonstrate that right now. So I'm going to start this fight. I'm going to dodge in to get light on my feet. And we're going to do this, and this, and this, and this. And then drop Astral. And Avatar is coming up, so we're going to dodge and enter it. The light on your feet... One thing you can do with that is just make sure to use it, like, right when you're going into Astral form. Dagger 4 will also refresh the light on your feet buff, because it is an evade. Weapon swapped a little early there. That was a mistake on my part. You get the idea. Alright, dodge again. Alright, so right now, I am doing... 27k DPS, and we're over 90% uptime on Alacrity. So, I was slipping a little bit there. I didn't play it perfectly, I admit that, but you get the idea. Every time Astral's up, that's highest priority. Go into Astral form, do 2, and then 5, 4, and 3 in any order, at 2 again, leave Astral, and then go back to just button mashing like crazy. Prioritize these. These do more damage, hit those, and then, use your weapon skills, swap weapon once you've exhausted most of the skills. If your pet is not... Like, if the pet's F2 is on cooldown, and this is off cooldown, then swap pets and do the other pet's F2. And that's pretty much all there is to it. Let's talk about what this brings to the table. And the pros to it and the cons to it. It brings some utility, not nearly as much as the Quick Untamed, which I have, discussed at length that I really enjoy. Because Astral Form is originally healing moves, the 2, the 3, and the 4 will heal teammates. So you are helping with healing a little bit whenever you are providing Alacrity. The 2 cleanses 3 conditions on teammates. That means for every 15-second period, you are doing 2 of the Astral 2s on your team. So that means that for every 15-second period of time, you are effectively doing 6 Condi cleanses per person in the group, assuming they're all stacked together. And they hit 5 people, so that's up to 30 Condi cleanses. So you are helping your team out with Condi cleanses as long as you make sure that the 2 is hitting your team and the opponent. So do like this, okay? That's true for all the AoEs here. You want to splash your people and the opponent when possible, because there are beneficial and negative effects on all of these buttons. So make sure to hit your team and the enemy with those abilities, and you'll be helping out with some cleansing and a little bit of healing. That's basically it. That's all the utility. You are providing a little bit of might to your party, but the might that you are providing is kind of negligible. It's maybe 10 stacks. The Astral 4 is going to provide some, and the Sun Spirit's going to provide some. So there will be some moments where that might falls off, and some moments where it's fine. But most of the time, it's just going to be a buffer to kind of help the healer, because the healer of the party, which would be a quickness providing healer, is going to be doing most of the might stacks. But you are providing some, which is nice. You do have some range damage, so if you find yourself on a boss fight where you have to like run around for a minute, if you've got the axe in your main hand, you can still do some range damage while you are running away. Or if you're away from the group, you could potentially be spamming 1 on the group to keep Alac from falling off while you're running back. Now remember, each application of this is like just over a second, and this is kind of annoying. The Druid, each application of Alacrity is 1 second of Alacrity. With the 3 pieces of concentration gear I've got on, it's 1.25 seconds of Alacrity. So that is something else to keep in mind. The Alac uptime on this, is very strict. Like, again, a player better than me with one piece of concentration gear can keep it up, but not if anybody has to leave for a second. If, someone has to run away and do a mechanic or come back, you're on Whisper of Jormag and you get teleported out to the little private room and you come back, the Alac is going to fall off everybody during that time period. So that is a con to it. You do not have much of a buffer with this. Lifesteal food. The way that the astral power bar fills, I'm just going to waste some astral power here. Okay. I cannot go back into Druid astral form until that is off cooldown and this bar is full. So, boop, it's off cooldown, but the bar is not full yet. How do you fill the bar? You fill it by doing damage or healing. You fill it more by healing. Now, a savvy druid might be like, oh, well, I could just do Healing Spring, and that will tick regen on everybody, and then, that'll make it easy. True, but anyone with more healing power than you, their regeneration is going to overwrite yours. So if the healer is providing regen, which any healer should, Healing Spring for you is just going to Conti cleanse the group. It's not going to help with, ticking regen, so there's not going to be any green numbers. If you've got lifesteal food, I think it's salsa something flatbread, every time you attack, you'll have a little green number come off of you if you're not full health. And every green number, it doesn't matter how weak it is, every green number will fill the astral bar. So lifesteal food is the way to go with this. Obviously doing damage will fill it as well, but if you're doing both, then it's going to fill faster. And the goal is to have the bar filled before this comes off cooldown, because if this comes off cooldown and then you have to wait more time for the bar to fill back up, alacrity is going to fall off. That's just how it is. It's very, very strict. It's not like Death Shroud where you can enter the thing with less than 100% of the bar. You have to have 100% of the bar for Druid. Light on your feet. Okay, the most annoying part of this build, in my opinion, is this. This trait is a sizable increase to damage, but that means that every 6 seconds or less, you need to dodge. And this icon that looks like a foot here is what you're looking for. Additionally, the Dagger 4 is an evade, so it triggers it also. But constantly having to use one of your dodges to keep that up is a massive damage increase, but it's also quite annoying. Because when you dodge, you stop attacking, and that feels counterintuitive, but the buff it gives you is worth it. It's totally worth it. So I would say this felt like the most annoying part of the build is constantly having to watch for that little buff icon and burn a dodge in order to keep the buff up. Or not burn Dagger 4, but use Dagger 4 and be like, oh, I don't have to dodge for 6 seconds because I just used Dagger 4. If you were using a short bow, then short bow 3 would be the same thing. Short bow 3 would cause this to trigger as well. And that's pretty much it. It is fairly durable. It's a ranger is kind of middle of the road for how much health and toughness you have. This would do absolutely fine in open world metas. It is extremely high APM because you're trying to keep all of this on cooldown, all of this on cooldown, all of this on cooldown. And every time this lights up, you go in there and then you use 5 skills in there and then leave. So it is, and then also you want to keep that on cooldown and then pet swap and then that on cooldown. So it is extremely button mashy. It's very high APM. You don't have a lot of room to bring utility. For example, if you brought the res spirit, you are giving up a 14,000 damage bleed skill. So, hold on, with light on my feet, actually, it's probably going to be, it looks like the tooltip doesn't update with light on your feet. Light on your feet would increase that by 10%. So that'd be like 15.4k. So it is a sizable sacrifice to bring something like that. Is it on Weaver levels? Nearly. We got 3 weapon bars. Weaver has 4 weapon bars, but it is high APM. This is very high APM, and you have, some cleansing and some healing on your teammates, and then there's like the light on your feet thing. Even though I'm a druid main, I did not find this fun. I'm not going to be playing this regularly. The light on your feet thing is just really annoying. The ramp up time for dots is a factor. So if I go to... just a moment. Let me go back. Okay, so if you look at this here, it took a few seconds to get the damage ramping up, right? And this is not like if you play a condition damage firebrand, where they start the fight, they blast out 30 sacks of burning, and their damage just goes boop, and then it just gets to the top of the plateau very fast. It takes time for the druid to ramp up. So there was multiple fights where we were fighting Freynir, And then I was just starting to get ramped up, and he would go invulnerable for a few seconds to start monologuing, and my dots would all fall off. Alacrity would fall off the party because I couldn't get astral power because I couldn't hit him, stuff like that. It's like if you are fighting a boss and it goes invulnerable or forces the group to run around the room or something, it feels bad because it falls off. The Alac, I mean, and your damage will tank, and then you have to build it back up again. So it is absolutely viable. Druids better than me have hit 39k with it while providing alacrity. It is solid at what it does, and you've got, you know, the benefit of having, you know, twice the health of a weaver while you're doing it. But it is very, very tight to keep the Alac up with this. And again, I was using more concentration gear than the guy in the video. So I was running 3 pieces, could probably do to run even more, but the more concentration gear you put on, the less your damage is going to be. But I think that's it. So yeah, it's solid, it works. I'm glad it finally exists for the Ranger class, because they have not had an Alac DPS up until this point. However, I didn't really find it fun. But that is a personal opinion. I recognize that. You know, that's not speaking for everybody. So it's not something I'm going to play on the regular, but now you know. And that's what I thought about it after I tried DPS Alac Druid.